The day's other news begins with the restoration of power in Puerto Rico following an island-wide outage that struck on New Year's Eve. The U.S. territory's private energy provider says that as of this afternoon, 98% of its customers have their lights back on. But Luma Energy warns there could be temporary outages in the coming days as it works to fully restore power across the island. The exact cause of the outage is still under investigation, but early indications point to a problem with an underground power line. At the peak of yesterday's outage, nearly 90% of Luma Energy customers were without power, forcing people to start the new year in darkness. And in Las Vegas, authorities say one person is dead and 7 others were injured today when a Tesla Cybertruck caught fire and exploded outside the city's Trump International Hotel. Eyewitness video captured the vehicle as it burned in the valet area of the hotel. The driver is the only known fatality. The cause of the explosion is unclear, though a law enforcement official tells the Associated Press that the truck appeared to be carrying a load of fireworks. Authorities are reportedly investigating the explosion as a possible act of terror. Authorities in New York City have arrested and charged a 23-year-old man after a Manhattan subway passenger was shoved onto the tracks as a train approached. Security camera footage shows the 45-year-old victim wearing an orange jacket being pushed violently from behind. Police say he's in critical but stable condition. The suspect has been identified as Kamel Hawkins. He has been charged with attempted murder and second-degree assault. It's just the latest act of violence to raise concerns among New York's transit passengers. The police figures show major crimes on subways are down compared to last year. Israeli airstrikes killed at least a dozen Palestinians in Gaza overnight as the war grinds on into the new year. Hospital officials say one strike hit a refugee camp in central Gaza, killing a woman and child. Israeli forces say the attack was in response to militant rocket fire that had come from the area. Another strike hit a home in northern Gaza, killing 7 and wounding dozen others. The Israeli military has been conducting a major offensive in that area since early October. Ukraine is putting the brakes on Russian gas flow through its pipeline network to European customers. The shutoff in supplies comes nearly 3 years after Russia invaded Ukraine. That's because a 5-year agreement between the two countries had kept the gas flowing. But the deal expired at the end of 2024, and Ukraine has refused to extend it. Slovak Prime Minister Robert Fico said the stoppage will have a drastic impact on European Union countries, but not on Russia.
Nobody, I repeat, nobody is pushing Slovakia away from the European community. But we must see that selfish national interests are beginning to dominate this community. In world politics, it absolutely applies that it does not matter whether elephants love or fight. The grass always suffers. I do not want Slovakia to be such grass.
Before the war, Russia supplied almost 40% of the EU's natural gas via pipelines. But by 2023, their share had dropped to around 8% as the EU moved to diversify the bloc's energy sources. The U.S. and Norway have stepped in to fill the gap, becoming the 2 largest suppliers to Europe. In South Korea, investigators say they've extracted black box data from the Boeing jet that crashed at Muon International Airport on Sunday, killing 179 people. They hope to use the information to determine the exact cause of the crash. Transport Ministry officials are also sending a damaged flight data recorder to the U.S. for analysis. Today, relatives of the victims visited the site to pay respects to their loved ones. Officials say they have identified all of the victims. Only 2 people survived when the Boeing 737-800 jet skidded off the end of the runway and slammed into a concrete fence, bursting into flames. And a Navy medic who survived the attack on Pearl Harbor has died. Harry Chandler was a hospital corpsman on the morning of December 7, 1941, when Japanese planes dropped bombs and fired on ships in the harbor. He helped pull injured sailors from the oily waters after the attack. Chandler told the Associated Press in 2023 that he saw the planes approach as he was raising the flag at a nearby mobile hospital. He's the 3rd survivor to die in recent weeks. With his passing, only 15 remain. Harry Chandler was 103 years old. Still to come on the NewsHour, the election result for a North Carolina Supreme Court seat is held up by legal challenges. And an English town that's been on the decline places its hopes on the success of its soccer team.
This is the PBS NewsHour from the David M. Rubenstein Studio at WETA in Washington and in the West from the Walter Cronkite School of Journalism at Arizona State University.